So awkward. Do you have control?
Yes.
Do you have the power? Beautiful.
Power.
Okay. Friends, I'm going to let Alex intro herself, but obviously she is our holistic nutritionist. Alex can go deep when it comes to gut microbiome health, especially in terms of women's health, stuff that I am not an expert in, and that's why she's here. So thank you for joining, and thank you for giving her your attention. And here she is.
Cool. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. My name is Alex Casini, and just to set the stage, let's just go ahead and, relax. Just take a big deep breath in and exhale. I was talking to Gunther earlier today, and I was like, it's been a week. I don't know if it's been a week for everyone else, but I'm like, I have worked and I meditated and I kind of fell asleep. So now I feel great. Again, I have a Wellness Wednesday group, and we meet for about 45 minutes, an hour. And I'm going to treat that kind of like today. We'll have a topic of conversation, and then we're going to go through a lot of what you all requested, because I do want to get to your questions. And as you can see, I already talk really fast. So 1, feel free to interrupt me. 2, feel free to use the chat thread to ask any questions, and I'll definitely get to those. So does anybody, just to kick it off, know what functional medicine is? It's okay if you don't. Yeah. What's your idea of it, Sarah? Sorry. Yeah. You have to, do I force people to?
I got kicked off. I think it's like the power of food and what we put into our body to ultimately impacts every aspect of our health, from our mind to our gut to skin, all the things.
Exactly. It's about really looking at the body in a whole picture, not just separate individual parts. And the reason I love it so much is because there's so much science behind it. And for me personally, why I decided to practice functional medicine and dive into holistic nutrition is because I myself suffered through eating disorders and hormone issues. I lost my period for 5 years. I was having really disgusting gut issues. And I went to many doctors, and all of them were like, you're young, you're thin, you're fine. And I'm like, no, but I'm not. They're like, do you want an anti-anxiety pill? Do you want birth control? And I was like, no, I don't want any of these things. I want my period and I want to feel good. And so I took it into my own hands, and I started studying, just like most of us do. We do that. We want to figure out what's going on with our bodies. And when I started to unlock all of this knowledge, I was like, people need to know about this. And so that's why I do what I do. And we can get very esoteric with hormones and gut health. However, it really is, and I hope you can take this away, the big thing of today is the bottom line is, if we do not have stable foundations of movement, of nutrients, of hydration and sleep, we will not be able to get well and stay well. So it's really, really key to focus on those foundations of managing our stress, taking time to just sit still for a second, saying no to things, right? Now that we aren't really kind of in a pandemic anymore and we're doing more things, we might find ourselves more exhausted. So really just finding ways for those foundations for us to thrive instead of just kind of get by. So we're going to kick it off with the vicious cycle. So this is one of the important slides, and I love this. And notice how each arrow goes both ways. And that's because everything is affecting each other. Just as in the functional medicine world, is one thing is going to affect the rest of the things. And Gunther and I were talking about earlier with the poor nutrition here at the bottom left corner is, if you don't eat well, if you don't eat enough, if you eat too much, that's going to mess with your sleep. That's going to mess with your mood. And then you're going to start having this negative self-talk. And what's really, really cool is the gut and the brain. Well, it's cool to me. The gut and brain are connected through the vagus nerve. It's VAGUS nerve. And the nerve is constantly communicating the status of your world to the rest of your body. So if you have that negative self-talk of, oh man, I can't do this workout, or, oh man, I really messed with my macros today, or I'm going to suck at this presentation, your body is being influenced by those thoughts. So that is one of the easiest ways you can start to transform your wellness, is by transforming the way you talk to yourself. So if your thoughts were written on a transcript at the end of the day, would they be more positive or would they be more negative? And it can get, again, very esoteric, or we can keep it simple. And it's like, are we doing good things to our body or saying nice things to ourselves, or are we being buttheads to ourselves? And so it's really important to start to change that self-talk and become more aware of it. So we will touch on gut health today. We're going to touch on the microbiome, a little bit on hormones, skin health was requested, our mouth. So with that said, what do you guys think? Go ahead and share in the chat thread. What are some things that you feel like influence your gut health? It's not a trick question either. Sugar and stress. Absolutely. Yes. What else? Let's hear from, yes, inflammatory foods, sugar. Exactly. What else? Dairy. Absolutely. Lack of veggies. Exactly. Or good veggies, a lot of veggies. That's perfect. So these medications, good. Yes, absolutely. Probiotics. Medications, that's a good one. A lot of people won't say that, but yes, it's very, very true. So exactly. So as I said today, you know, the vagus nerve, that's really what's connecting our brain and our gut and to the rest of the organs in the body. And so through functional medicine, there's really 4 root causes to disease or just not feeling great, to certain dynamics that go in the body, to illnesses. And it's going to be toxins, stress, trauma, and poor quality foods. So that's going to be, you know, the processed foods, the sugar, perhaps the dairy, the gluten, depending on the person, and trauma. So if we've been through any, and it can be micro traumas or it could be major traumas, it could be, you know, getting bullied as a child, that could have put a lot of anxiety on us. That is going to influence our gut. And the lack of veggies, right? The poor quality food, as we said, the inflammatory things, stress, moving too quickly, getting those emails from our bosses and feeling really stressed out about it, meeting deadlines, working out is also a stressor on the body, not eating enough, another stressor on the body, eating too much, another stress on the body. And these are, again, all things to remember. I live in California, so we have fires, those toxins in the air, that's not so great for our bodies. So we really want to come to understand what is the root cause of what we're feeling. So right now I'm talking a little bit more macro, and then we're going to get micro into our little questions that we asked today. So again, feel free to ask any questions as I continue throughout today. So we do want to take into consideration these 4 root causes of trauma, or I'm sorry, of illness. So now, what do you guys think are 4 basic human needs that we need to survive? The 4 things that we have to survive. And we can't live without it. We would die. We actually would die. ATP, that's close. That's actually really, that's a good one. It's too complex, more simpler. Food, water, exactly. Oxygen, breathing. Perfect, Tara. And one more thing. Food, water, community. We do need community and sunshine. That is true. But we wouldn't die without it, without sunshine and community. We can live in the darkness for a long time. Yeah. Sleep. We need sleep. We need to sleep. We need to recharge, right? So recharging is going to be really, really key. We need to sleep. We need to have oxygen, nutrients, and water. And when you're not feeling well, those are simply 4 principles that you can come back to. Am I sleeping? Am I sleeping well? Am I drinking enough water? Am I getting in enough nutrients? Am I breathing? Like, am I actually breathing in my belly, or am I breathing all up in my chest? And how is that going to affect the status of my world, my thoughts, and my body? Every cell needs oxygen, it needs water, it needs the nutrients. So so at the end of this today, we're also going to come up with a little habit. So if there are certain things that are resonating with you, maybe you mark them down, and we are going to take one thing that you learned today that really resonated and implement it in your life. Maybe it's the water, maybe it's the nutrients, the breathing, sleep. So we'll get to that. Kevin asked about probiotics. So let's start with, what do probiotics do for the body? Does anybody know what they do for the body? They're good for the gut health, immune system, So they're really, really important for our immune system. Exactly. Bring in gut bacteria. So we do have good guys and we have the bad guys, and probiotics are going to help with more of the good bacteria. And probiotics, yes, exactly. Yeah, great. This is exactly what probiotics do. Prevent opportunistic infection, aid in digestion. Again, they support the good guys. And they're really good for our immune system. Yeah, you guys are smart. And that's why when they were asking these questions, I was like, oh, this is exciting. I kind of like know, they kind of know what I'm going to be talking about. So we're not starting from square one, which is also important, right? We don't want to forget about the foundations. The foundations are fantastic. So exactly. And so now foods, we can get great probiotics in foods, right? We have kimchi, sauerkraut, pickles, tempeh, yogurt, miso, lots of things that really do support these natural probiotics in our body. And when we're thinking about supplements in general, it's really important that we don't just throw things at our body, because supplements are there for a time and a place. And right now, our food sources, our food quality isn't so great. However, ideally, we are getting enough nutrients through our food because our digestion rocks. And so sometimes throwing a certain supplement at, like a probiotic or, zinc or a B vitamin, can also change a lot of other things in the body. Like zinc, for example, competes with copper in the body. So we want to have a nice balance of copper and zinc. And if we take too much zinc, that can throw off our copper, which can actually throw off our ATP, which is funny. Yeah, really. Yeah. So copper, the last thing in converting the ATP is a copper molecule. So really important. And if we're taking too much zinc, that might outweigh the copper, and then we don't have good ATP, right? So food is always going to be best on the spectrum of nutrients. We want to get it in through food as much as possible. And then if we're not able to get it in through food as much as we need, then supplements, a good quality, high quality supplement may be the case. So a good time to take a probiotic would be if you are sick, if you have, if you're trying to do things with your gut. Ideally, I'm about to go really high level. So you guys tell me if it's like, stop. So ideally though, our stomach acid is, in my opinion, and you can do research, is the hierarchy in regards to digestive supplements, because stomach acid is what is going to, so someone has SIBO, the stomach acid is what is going to regulate these good and bad bacteria before it even gets downstream where the probiotic usually does its job. So we really want actually good, strong stomach acid to get rid of those bad guys, to get rid of the bad bacteria, to get rid of any inflammatory issues with foods or bugs that we accidentally eat. We want strong stomach acid. And the way we have good, strong stomach acid is by eating these naturally probiotic foods, slowing down when we eat. We get it when we reduce our stress. And apple cider vinegar, I'm sure you heard a little bit of apple cider vinegar, like in your salad dressing, could be really good to help support stomach acid as well. So you can take a probiotic if you are doing some kind of gut health protocol, as well as wanting to support the immune system. But remembering, if you don't have good stomach acid, the probiotic might not be doing as good of a job as we would like. So just remember, not all supplements are also created equal. It's just like food. There's high quality supplements and there's low quality supplements. And so because supplements are more work on the liver, we would rather just get it through food, unless you know exactly why you're using the supplement itself. Does that make sense to everybody about supplements? Okay. So another question was about organ meats, and they're so fantastic for you. Tons and tons of vitamins, B vitamins in particular. And B vitamins are really essential for detox, especially when losing more than 5 pounds. You start to recirculate a lot of toxins. And that's why we might feel a little bit of grumpiness when we do start to lose a little bit of weight, because we're recirculating toxins. And if our body's not properly detoxing, what are they going to do? They're going to recirculate in our body. We're going to feel crabby, and we're going to want to go to old habits. We're going to want quick energy from sugary foods, carbs, fatty foods, and it's just going to start the vicious cycle all over again. So organ meats are really going to be helpful in order for you to get those B vitamins, to help detox the body, to help with energy, to help with your adrenals, which produce cortisol. They're going to help with sleep because we need B6 for sleep. We need B6 for so many things. And they're also really rich in lots of other minerals like iron, magnesium, selenium, and all of these things. Again, these nutrients work in a nice like symphony. Like magnesium is responsible for over 400 different biochemical reactions in the body, and including oxygen and energy. So we really want these nutrients from our food in order to get them into the cells. We're all good so far. I feel like I'm just talking at you guys. So let me know if you have any questions to just come on in. And Caitlin asked
one.
Oh, yes, please.
One question. Going a little bit back to the probiotics. Sorry, I don't know if I was supposed to do the chat, but
No, please, Sarah. No, this is great. I'd rather this. Yeah, go ahead.
So I totally get like the probiotics via food, right? So are you saying don't take probiotics? So like I have those Seed, that brand Seed. I know they're super popular. I don't really know how you feel about them, but so are you saying it's far better to just eat them via kimchi, sauerkraut, fermented foods or whatever, as opposed to taking those?
Yeah, it would be better to just eat the foods. It's like good, better, best. So the best thing to do is get it through your diet. And then better thing is to probably, you can do something like Seed. I've heard really good things about Seed. And my question too is like, do you feel better when you take them? Do you feel a difference? Also, that's something to keep in mind for your body too. So do you feel a difference when you take them, Sarah?
Well, I've fallen out of the habit in a big way. And I'm just kind of bad about taking vitamins in general. So I was in a good habit and then fell out of it. I'm trying to like reincorporate it. But again, I want to be intentional about it. So if it's, I don't know, something I should best be doing via diet, then I would just focus more on that, which I think I too would be more successful at in general.
Yes, exactly. And I think that would probably be the best route. And just noting like, how is your gut health? And are there other things that you can do before taking the supplements? Which is kind of based off of Caitlin had a question. What are some mainstream do's and don'ts? And one of them is or like what's not mainstream do's and don'ts of gut health. And one of them, like that's not so sexy, but to just slow down when we're eating. I don't think it's not talked about a lot, but slowing down when we're eating is so important. And I'm very guilty of it as well, especially because I eat like ginormous salads and I'm like, I just need to get through this. I have an email to send. And it's like, I notice I talk about all things gut, so this doesn't gross me out. So hopefully you guys aren't grossed out by it, but I will have gas that night if I eat in front of my computer. Like it's gross. And I'm like, oh my God, it's because I was distracted and I wasn't chewing my food. And now my gut, like the food is just in my gut and the bacteria just feeds off of it and has a frenzy. And so really slowing down when you can, when you eat, putting down the fork, breathing in between bites, chewing until the food is liquidy would be like the best place to start with digestion. We are so quick to want to supplement with digestive enzymes or, probiotics, et cetera, when in reality, it's easier said than done. But if we just slow down and we prioritize eating, we will have a better digestive system. It's like the body can only be in that either a relaxed nervous system mode or the on nervous system mode. So when we're on our computer, when we're working, when we're on, our phones, Instagram, whatever, we're working and our brains are on. It's not focusing on our digestive system working appropriately. It's just focusing on whatever we're looking at, even if we're chewing our food at the same time. Does that make sense?
Cool. Totally. And I'm 100% guilty. I like eat while working 99% of the time. So, yes. And I'm with you, I'm like on a call between my talking times, I'm like shoving food in my mouth, but
exactly. Totally. Yeah. And so did that answer your question too about probiotics?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. And so exactly. And so even like with my clients, I'm always like, let's aim for better. So I'm not telling you to stop eating in front of the computer altogether. I'm like, can we pick one meal a day? Can we pick one day a week? Or can we pick once a week? How can we in our life move the needle and aim for just a little bit better? We do not have to be perfect, but just like a little bit better and see how we feel. Because if we see results and we're like, wow, I actually feel way better, we're more likely to make it a priority to be better at whatever it is we are doing. It's like, you start losing weight, you're more likely to work out versus when you're like, I don't see changes. You're like, yeah, screw this, right? So it's kind of the same thing with our eating. So the way we eat is actually one of the best things to focus on with digestion and gut health, stress. And another one I wanted to talk about was like beauty products, which is funny because Gunther and I were talking about this as well, is beauty products are, can be one of the worst, and household cleaning products. There's a website, ewg.org/skin deep. And I'll send that out to you guys as well. And this is where it rates all of the products you use around your house and your home. I usually just Google like Burt's Bees EWG, and it'll come up with a whole bunch of their products and rate them. And you can see how they're rated. And beauty products and household cleaning products can be very harmful to our gut, because it goes right through the skin, through the air, and we breathe it in, the toxins, and it can be really bad for our health. So if you can start to slowly, once you run out of something, be like, oh, I'm almost out of my makeup, what's a little bit better of a product I can use? I'll send it to you, I'll make note of it. I have a whole form of beauty product recommendations because I've tried so many, because I'm like, oh, this works, this doesn't work, this isn't as good, that I would recommend to clients to just kind of start to move that needle again with products and household cleaning products. William, you said better to graze than eat big meals. This is a really great question. Actually, it's better to eat I would say 3 or 4 meals a day, versus grazing, because we have, it's called the migrating motor complex. And these MMC waves come through our body about every 2 to 3 hours. And it's an electrical system in the body. I looked this up. I was like, wow, electrical system in the body is pretty cool. And it flushes waves down through the body, and it just gets rid of the debris. It gets the excess nutrients to the rest of the body, and it flushes out the system. And that's when you start to break down fat, and your metabolism starts to work, and you start to burn fat, and you start to burn calories. So if you're grazing all day, you never have this opportunity for these waves to come through your body. And so you may not be fully digesting and letting the rest of your body work, because when your digestive system is working, your immune system is kind of taking a back seat, and your detox pathways are kind of taking a back seat. So if you're grazing all day, you're not allowing the immune system, the detox pathways, your hormones, et cetera, to function as well as they could be. So that's a really good question. I learned that. And so if you can eat every 3-4 hours, in my opinion, is pretty good. But again, you want to listen to your body. Everyone's body is different. But definitely I've seen big changes with my clients. And then that actual function of the body, the waves won't work if you're kind of grazing all day. So good question. So the do's and don'ts of gut health. A lot of us know dairy and gluten aren't so hot for us. And I'm hoping, so I'm going to just restate in case we don't know, but the reason I'm led to believe that it's not good for us is not necessarily the gluten or the dairy itself, but how it's produced, how it's raised, how it's grown is really harmful for the body, especially gluten. It's 100% of it is sprayed with glyphosate, which is a hormone disrupting chemical. So with my clients that do feel good when they're off gluten, I don't know if it's the gluten. And I tell them this, I don't know if it's the gluten. I don't know if it's what's on the gluten. I just know that if you don't feel good, you probably shouldn't eat it. And so I think those are kind of some of the top ones I would say that are the non-mainstream do's and don'ts of gut health, just because I think beauty products, household products, gluten and dairy, and especially the way we eat is really, really important. So another question I got was about skin health. So this goes back to the beauty products. So beauty products are really key, and our gut. So our gut I always say that the skin is the reflection of what's going on the inside. So what do you guys think about skin health? What do you think affects skin health? Go ahead and share in the chat thread. What things do we do on a day-to-day basis might make our skin not so great? Oh, yeah, that's good. Okay, so Sarah, I know you meant that's probably what means good. Stress, hormones, water, sleep, sun exposure. Yes. What else? Sugar, right? Sugar products. Yes, exactly. Beauty products, dairy. I found eggs haven't been so hot for skin, including my own. Dairy, gluten, processed foods, the products we use on our skin. And it's a big reflection of what is going on in the gut and the liver. Is our body able to detox properly? So those are kind of the things to always come back. I forgot who asked this question, but was there a specific question you had about skin health, or was there I think it was, you wanted to learn more about it. So if there's something specific, feel free to ask on the chat thread. But there was also talk about the mouth. And the mouth is just as connected to the rest of our body. And unfortunately, I don't know as much about the mouth, and I really want to learn more. But it has its own microbiome. So your mouth is where essentially that's the first part of the digestive process, is when we start chewing our foods. We have enzymes in our mouth that start to break down the foods and start to alert the rest of the body, like, okay, it's time to start digesting again. So it produces our stomach acid. It starts to trigger our digestive enzymes from our pancreas. And then it starts to stimulate bile production as well, in order to help break down and absorb fats. So our mouth is really, really important. Amylase, exactly. Wow. How do you guys know all this? Is very impressive. I was like, they're not going to know what I'm talking about, but you do. I need to give you guys more credit. This is great. So these are a lot of different topics we covered, right? So kind of giving a summary, because we're about to do a habit change. This is my favorite part is like the actual interaction. So if you don't have a pen and paper out, get it out now. So to kind of re-summarize everything, we have the vicious cycle, right? So boom, 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 the vicious cycle. The key of this slide is that everything affects everything. And really we can start with one piece, and it's going to improve the rest of the puzzle. We start sleeping a little bit better. We're more likely to work out. We're more likely to make healthier choices with nutrition. We're going to have a better mood. We're going to be nicer to ourselves. Or if we just start talking more positively to ourselves, or if we choose better choices with our nutrition, it's all going to affect each other. So just starting with one small thing, and knowing in functional medicine, everything is connected. Your body's always listening to itself. There's 4 main root causes of disease: the toxins, the stress, the trauma, the poor quality foods. Is there something from here that you can move the needle on? Maybe you start to you do some body work, or you choose healthier food options. You add vegetables to 1 meal a day, etc. And then we have the gut health, talking about probiotics, talking about some different information about gut health, of prioritizing your food, chewing, setting down the fork, breathing in between bites, just slowing down ultimately, because the foundations of wellness is really what's going to help us get well and stay well, right? The oxygen, the water, the nutrients, and the sleep. And then of course, skin health, really focusing on the body. The skin is more of an esoteric thing, that when we start to build on those foundations, we may see the skin improve by just because we started drinking more water, or just because we stopped eating, peanut butter, or kind of figuring out what our body needs. Any suggestions for stress reduction? I've done meditation, which helped, but wondering if you have any suggestions. Yeah. What do you like to do that brings you joy?
I definitely think like working out is a good one. Going on a walk is another big one. Reading, that kind of stuff.
Great. And that's what I usually recommend to my clients, is to do one thing a day, even if it's only for 60 seconds, that brings you just happiness and joy, that makes you feel at ease, makes you feel grounded. It's just slowing down overall. Today, I'm in a networking group, and she's like, someone made a suggestion last week to really taste your coffee. And I was like, that was me, because how often we're like, oh, I love coffee. I can't wait till I drink my morning coffee. When we have a sip and we love that first sip, and maybe the second one, and then we don't remember the rest of the coffee. That's kind of, how can we bring ourselves back to feeling the water from the shower on our body, looking up at the sky and just like feeling the sun on your cheeks, doing the small things that are just so joyful, is what I usually recommend to reduce stress, is to just bring more, instead of being like, oh, I can't have stress, adding instead of subtracting. So like add more good to your life. and kind of switching your mindset, right? So if you have these stressful circumstance, like you can, it's cheesy, but how can you ask the question, like, what am I learning from this? Or how can I change this? If it's like a chronic thing, if it's a job, maybe, some kind of communication, maybe you get more help below you, et cetera, kind of thing. Is that helpful? Do you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, no, that's great. I think maybe another thing is that it's sort of like I view stress reductions as something you do like before the workday and after the workday, but I think incorporating those little appreciative moments would really help. Like, there are lovely flowers in my backyard. Like if I'm having trouble with something, just go look at them and then come back, that kind of thing. So
exactly. And walks like around the block are really underrated, I think too. I'm not sure if you're in a walkable area, but walks release so many endorphins, and you may not want to go on it and you might be like, this is terrible. But then once you're outside, you're like, wow, I do feel better. It's like that fresh air and the sun brings that vitamin D, and vitamin D helps with your melatonin, and it's just a wonderful thing. And so walks are fantastic for that. And they help. Yes, listening to the hummingbirds I've heard humming and singing is great for the vagus nerve. It is so good for the vagus nerve. I'm so glad you brought that up, because the vagus nerve is right next to your vocal cord. So if you start humming or singing, like it's an automatic happiness. So Kevin, if you if you commute anywhere and you're like feeling a little off, or any of us, turn on a song and turn up really loud and just sing. And it's like so therapeutic. And that's a big reason why, is because it's stimulating that vagus nerve. It's calming down our nervous system. So we're just going to naturally feel better. And yeah, if we do want to start, the workday and finish the workday with something calming, even like foam rolling, stretching, some of the mechanics Gunther teaches, I have it like the YouTube saved. So like I can do it on 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And it doesn't have to be this big, long thing. It can be these small moments of just like slowing down, I think is really key. Especially when we're already so busy. It's very daunting to be like, oh, I need to do a 10-minute thing, versus doing like, oh yeah, I can go outside for 5 minutes or 3 minutes. And then you end up being out there longer. So just starting really, really small is usually what I recommend. Before we get to habit change, if you guys is there any other questions for now? Okay, perfect. Oh yeah, Gunther, what? Yes, let's hear it. What's your question?
I don't want to take us backwards, but I was very curious on the topic of gluten being bad for us, right? Or potentially, we don't know. So we've got a couple of vegans in house, right? And one way for them to hit these crazy protein goals is seitan,
Yes.
which is literally just gluten binded together, right? So I'm curious if you have any insight to our vegans as to how they can get healthier sources of protein, make sure they're getting all these micronutrients, and potentially avoiding, basically just elaborate if you could.
Yeah.
If you've got any tips or suggestions.
Yeah. So I highly recommend, I know like the macros aren't as good, but I actually recommend tofu a lot. Tofu has phytoestrogens in it. So there's lots of mixed research. All the research I've done, I really try to do the best I can with research. And it seems to me, from what I'm understanding, that tofu is not as bad as we make it out to be, especially if it's non-GMO and you're not allergic to it, because it's a phytoestrogen. And so what that's going to do is that's going to actually block estrogen receptors from any xenoestrogens, which comes from like those household cleaning products I was talking to everybody about, or the beauty products. So tofu, I think, is fantastic. Edamame, those soy products. And then tempeh, which is, I think, a little higher in fat or carbs. I forget which one, but tempeh is really good. Lentils are fantastic. Again, they're higher in carbs, but they're really, and there's so much diversity you can do with lentils. I found like lentil pancakes, because I have a few vegan clients, and lentil pancakes, I'm like, wow, this is genius. And so that's like a great way. And then, I myself eat some protein powder because I can't eat eggs. So I'm like, I can't eat meat every breakfast. So I do like a vegan protein that I really, really love, and it's clean with heavy metals and all that stuff. And it's really good. So that's what I usually do.
Sweet. Those are amazing suggestions. Thank
I know,
you.
because I had a client who was a vegan, and I was like, oh, we got to get rid of the gluten. She's like, I don't eat any gluten. And when we took a food sensitivity test, and her gluten was like skyrocketed. And this test only tests things you actually eat within the last like month. And she's like, I don't know what it is. And I'm like, okay, well, let's look at your diet. I'm like, oh, you're eating this. And how do you pronounce it?
I don't
Satan?
know. Satan.
That's what it looks like to me, Satan. So I don't know, but so
There's a reason.
yeah, exactly. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like Laura, you're eating Satan every day. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that was gluten. I was like, yeah.
Sure.
And like she had psoriasis. There's a whole thing. So yes, that's what I would usually recommend.
Cool.
So what I want everybody to do now is on that piece of paper is write down, what is your goal right now? And it can be absolutely anything. It can be, and you don't have to share this with me. This is just for you. What is your overall goal? Like and it doesn't have to be just about fitness or wellness. This could be anything. A job, career and job are kind of the same. Relationships, how you want to feel. Do you want more energy? Like whatever, I want better gut health, whatever it is. I want you to just go ahead and write that down. I'll give you about 60 seconds to think about it. Okay, now, when you reach this goal, what will it allow you to have and feel? So when you actually attain, the body fat or the, the energy levels or the confidence or the promotion, what will you now be able to do? What will you have? How will you feel? And I'll give you about 60 seconds for this as well. And it's being recorded, so you can always come back and redo this. I love this because it's like a template of anything. You can do anything with this kind of template. Reset your goals. All right. And so now, based off of our conversation, I'm hoping that we got to that these wellness habits, these things that we change in our life, these little small things actually have a ripple effect and will help you get to whatever goal you have. For me personally, the reason I started training people and then I started going into nutrition and functional medicine, or one of the reasons, is because to me, this is just a vehicle of transformation for people. When you're training people, you start to see the coolest stuff. Like people really transform in front of your eyes, their confidence, their energy, their strength, and their joy, and they just become unstoppable. And I think that's why one of the reasons I love, and I've been doing this for so long, is because I really believe in it. And notice when you eat a little bit better, or when you drink a little bit more water, you're like, yeah, I'm being healthy today, right? You finished your workout, you're like, yeah, I did that. And you just feel better. And that's ultimately the goal and how I help my clients, is I really just help them feel better. And we take small, sustainable steps to get there. And so based off of what we've spoken about today, what is one little habit you feel like you can create in order to get you to this goal, so you can have what your desire wants and how you want to feel and those things? And make it very specific. I want it to be very specific. Time, days, whatever this habit is, the amounts. And really think about it. All right. Now, how are you going to keep yourself accountable with this habit? So that's the big thing. It's all great and dandy to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to eat vegetables 5 days a week. However, how is that going to happen? Are you going to need to go to the grocery store? Do you now need to plan in your calendar right now? Do right now because you have the time to go to the grocery store to order your groceries? Do you need to make a grocery list? Do you need to put that also on your to-do list to make a grocery list? I'm a highly organized person, so I like, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't get done. So how will you accomplish this habit? Maybe if you stretch throughout the day, like, because stretching also is very good for the body, slowing you down. Maybe that's what you do. Maybe stretch before bed and you put it in your calendar, you set a reminder on your phone, etc. So go ahead and take a couple seconds to think about, what are you going to do? Yeah, exactly. Classic Virgo. It's very true. What are you going to do to accomplish this habit? How are you going to get it done? All right. Now, does anybody have any questions? And I would love to hear from one or two people what your habit is and how you're going to get it done. You don't need to tell me your goal. What is your habit? What's your like takeaway, and how are you going to remember to do it? Don't be shy. You can unmute yourselves.
I go first. I think this is a habit I want to do is try to incorporate, I think, 2 moments of appreciation per day. And I think that might be high, but we'll see how it goes. I think one can be, just sitting in my chair so it's easy or something like that. And another will require me to get up and move and keep myself accountable. I used to do like a habit tracker in my bullet journal. I'm one of those people. And it worked so well that I didn't really need it anymore. And I just had to do these things throughout the day. So I think if I just bring it back and add that habit, that will really help.
I love that. And something I would, oh, Terry, I love it. Eat a salad every day and put it in your calendar. Perfect. And then make sure you have those ingredients for the salad, or you just order whatever is best. And then you ask yourselves on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely am I to do this habit? And if it's not a 9 or a 10, just make it a little easier, just a little easier. And it's not that you're not, like, I want you to succeed. The goal is to succeed, because once we build that successful muscle, it's more likely for us to build on top of that versus being like, oh no, I'm failing, I'm just going to fail, the fuck it mentality, excuse my language. But like, right, we're like, oh, I didn't do that one thing, so I'm just not going to do any of it. It's no. Let's just keep moving the needle. Make sure that your habit is so easy that it's like almost laughable that you achieve it. Does anybody else want to share their habit or have any questions? Cool. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today. As you all know now, I am a holistic nutritionist and I specialize with gut health and hormones. And I do, Kaylin also asked a question about hormones. I have a lot of actually wellness classes that I've taught about hormones that I can send like 1 or 2 out to everybody. I dive deep into like the menstrual cycle and seed cycling and what workouts to do and how to eat for your cycle, etc. Because women are on a 28-day cycle and our hormones fluctuate throughout that. And I can just geek out on that all day, of course. And so if any of you are interested in working together, feel free to reach out to me. This is my email. I have an Instagram. I have TikTok. My Instagram's on here as well. So if you'd like to work together, let me know. I do offer complimentary calls to make sure we're a good fit. I think you did something like that with Gunther. And Gunther and I are very like aligned without even knowing it. And so we'll talk and be like, I do that too. So I offer that as well. And if you have any questions, let me know on Instagram. I do videos all the time and I'm happy to answer them through videos and to help you out because I obviously love this stuff. And I also have a newsletter. So basically there's tons of ways to get a hold of me. Pick one, pick your favorite. And I'm also so stoked to be a part of this group. It's been so fun. I was telling Gunther, I was like, it's great because I used to like help a lot of people, lose weight and now, or lose body fat. And now I've kind of moved my practice to helping people like feel better through like gut health and hormones and their menstrual cycle, et cetera. And so it's cool to be a part of a group where it's a different view and we're success and we're pumping each other up. And I love the workout. So it was great. So everybody, thank you so much for being here with me. And if anybody has any questions, again, this is where to find me. And I'll also be, you know, on house, right? Is that how I say it? Am I saying the lingo correctly?
Come on, in-house.
Alex, can you send some of those hormone videos that you talked about?
Oh yeah. Y'all
That'd be
send
awesome.
those.
I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna bore all the boys with asking questions about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'll send a little thing I have too. It's really interesting. Another thing I was talking, Gunther and I had obviously had a chat today. I was talking to somebody else about that. A lot of the research that's done in diets and workouts is done on men because women, we have too many variables with our hormones. So that's why a lot of the time, not all these diets or these really intense HIIT classes all day, every day work well for our bodies because our bodies aren't supposed to be doing that. You know, so it's really, really cool. Yeah, I love the hormone stuff. It's so fun. And that's why I love these Wellness Wednesday courses because I'm like, it's very fluid. I can kind of do this where we just talk instead of, you know, being so programmed and action step oriented. It's more free flowing. No pun intended. Okay. So, this is great. Anything else? Do you guys need anything else for me? Yeah. Cool.
I do want to just jump in and let everyone know I have participated in Alex's Wellness Wednesdays, and it's incredible. It's very similar to what she's done here, but she goes very in depth into some topics. And so if you guys are interested in joining that, I think, Alex, I'll let you talk on this, but I think you offer like a complimentary entrance into that and having people kind of check it out, be a part of it. Her Instagram is linked here. She's also literally in-house. So she's in the message. You can just @ Alex and you can hit her up inside of our chat. She'll be there. She's not leaving. So if you guys need to reach out to schedule something with her, please feel free and you guys can connect however.
Yeah, I do. I offer the first group course or class is free because I want to make sure you guys like it too. You know, I'm very like, I want us to work, you know, I want it to be symbiotic. I want you to like it. I want your expectations to be met and vice versa. And obviously I love this stuff and it's just so fascinating to me how the body works. So it's exciting because I get to like geek out on it and everyone else enjoys it too. So thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for coming live. Appreciate it.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thanks so much. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye, friends.